Hello, the Ulster Expat here. Yeah, it's been a while. I think it's been almost 10 months, I think, since my last video. So thought I'd put my finger out and get back on the horse in terms of YouTube videos. So yeah, so what's new? Pretty much this is going to be an update for 2024 in terms of what I've been up to and what's new with me. So in terms of brewing, I'm brewing as much as ever, if not more. I think in my last video I was talking that I was on course to brew 12 brews for 2023. That's what I did. That was a personal best for me. And in 2024 so far, so we're just coming into end of September now. I'm 12 brews deep already in 2024. So 2024 is going to be another record-breaking year for me. I mean, I only brew 10-litre batches, but you know, it still takes the same amount of time to brew 10 litres as it does 20 litres. So, yeah, I'm doing pretty well. What are the changes for me? So no real changes in terms of brewing equipment. Still brewing on my Brewmeister 10-litre system. Still enjoying that. I mean, as I said, it lets me get through the brews and lets me be as experimental as I want to be in terms of brewing different types of beer that I might struggle to get through if I brew 20 litres of. So still doing that. In terms of upgrades that I have had, so I have upgraded my dispensing a little bit. So just in terms of volume, so I'm now onto a 3-tap keezer. So gone up from 2 taps to 3 taps. And that's helped me, I think, get through the batches of beer more quickly. It allows me to get beers on carbonating and conditioning, and freeing up the firm fridge, which you can see there just beside the tumble dryer. So that's helped me get through the volume of brews. And the other thing, so I'm really maybe going to struggle to get round to show you here, is you can see it there. So I've installed my so that's the additional tap, the new tap there, and I've also I can't get my bearings right. I've also hardwired my bowl I tap in. That's, I mean, it's a small thing, but it does seem to make a difference. So I'm just going to try and get you in the right position again. So that does help in terms of bottling. So I mean, I don't bottle huge amounts. I bottle for our monthly brew club meetings that happen to bring along my latest brews. And I'll brew. Don't enter that many competitions, but I maybe enter about 3 competitions a year. So I'm bottling to enter those beers into the competitions. So, but it's just, I mean, I had it on a bottling stand beforehand. It was good that it was mobile, but actually it's just, long story short, it's a lot less faff to have it hardwired in. I have it permanently connected to the gas. I can just clip in and clip out to whatever keg that I'm doing. Cleaning I can do with one of those spray bottle, pressure spray bottles. I can do that in place without having to have too much faff. I have a drip tray underneath it. It just makes the whole operation a lot less painful. So that's sort of upgrades in terms of dispense. Other upgrades I have had. So if you've been on the BrewTube Facebook page, I have made a couple of posts upon that. So if you can see just between the 2 fridges there, you'll see a small barrel sitting in a plastic crate. So that's my biggest news, let's say, in terms of brewing upgrades. I bought one of these little. It's basically a 6-litre barrel. They're called Bad Motivator Legacy barrels. If you want to look them up online, they're not cheap. So just that's my disclaimer. First of all, I think in terms of to buy, they come from the States. and I think they're at the current exchange rates, they're about £117 for the barrel. And then you pay £30 shipment on that, and then you also pay £30 or £36 import duty, which was a nice surprise for me to get an email from FedEx. But very quickly, it's as I said, it's about a 6 litre barrel, and the wood on it, it has a wooden head to it, and it has a stainless steel body to it, and I've maybe fell for the marketing hook, line and sinker. I mean, they're primarily for aging spirits in, but you can get ex whiskey wood on it, so that the barrel I have is an ex sherry cask that's had a single malt in it. So it's and the thinking behind it is that it mimics the sort of the volume, surface area to volume ratio that you would get in a much larger barrel. Because the small barrels, obviously you get a lot more exposure to wood, so it takes on a lot more wood tannins a lot more quickly. So the theory behind that is that you can age a beer a lot more like you would do in a much larger barrel. You're able to age it for longer without getting too many wood tannins in, and you maybe get a bit more vanilla off the wood, and you also get the exposure to the whiskey and the sherry in the same way. In the same way, so it's basically a small barrel masquerading as a larger barrel, and hopefully you're able to get the same outcome as you would do for if you were aging in a standard barrel. I have an old ale in in that barrel at the moment. It's only been in for a couple of days. The beer that's in there is an old Peculier clone, which I brewed last month. Somehow managed to get a 6.2% beer out of my Braumeister. As I think I've said this before, I mean, I really struggle with efficiency once I start to get up to the maximum malt weight, or once I start pressing the malt pipe to its maximum capacity, my efficiency usually falls off a cliff edge. But whatever I did, I don't know, I'll probably never be able to replicate it again so much in homebrewing, but I managed to get a 6.2% beer, so at 80% efficiency, so it didn't, it's certainly the strongest beer that I've ever brewed without having to resort to reiterated mash. And the beer out of the fermenter was tasting, in my humble opinion, was tasting very, very good. I mean, I say this a lot, but the guys in my brew club will probably be laughing at me. It's the best beer that I've ever brewed. But it certainly was tasting lovely out of the fermenter. And I've put 5 litres of it into the barrel, or 5.5 litres into that barrel. I tried to minimise headspace just so I didn't get too much oxidation. But it's going to be really interesting because I've managed to maintain, so I've got 3.5 litres in a keg, and I've got 5.5 litres in the barrel. The theory behind it being that I'm going to try and age that for about 3 months in the barrel, then take it out and put it into another keg, and I'll be able to have a side-by-side taste comparison to the barrel-aged beer versus the keg beer, which is obviously not absolutely novel territory for me. So maybe that might be inspiration for my next video. So really, really excited about that. I mean, as I said, I've always wanted to do barrel aging, but I'm restricted slightly in terms of the volume that I brew. I'd be a long time filling a normal barrel. So that's a project to look forward to in the future, and maybe a future video. Other things that are happening in terms of my sort of brewing and whatnot. I have Cider Day. The Scottish Craft Brewers Annual Cider Day is upcoming on the 6th of October. So I've been out picking apples for that. I think I said it previously, and I have done it. I did it last year. And I think there is a significant difference in the quality of taste that you get from fresh pressed apples versus even if you're using pressed apple juice from the supermarket. So looking forward to doing that again. It's a good day out with the club on a weekend day where I'm not having to look after 3 children, which is always a bonus. I love my children, but it's always a real treat to get out and do something where I've got absolutely no responsibility to look after them. So yes, so that's upcoming. Other things that I have upcoming, so I've just entered 2 beers into the Welsh National Homebrew Competition. So the first beer that I have a clone of the Colonel's Export Porter. That's out of Ewan Ferguson's craft brewing book. For those of you that maybe have that book. So yeah, it's tasting reasonable. I was actually able to buy a bottle of the Colonel Export Porter to have a direct tasting comparison to that. Well, I say it was a direct comparison. Obviously, the Colonel switch out their hops every time that they brew a batch. So I think my version, I had Columbus hops. The Colonel's version have Simcoe hops in it. So and I'm not that expert enough in hops to tell you the exact difference between Simcoe and Columbus. In that maybe you get more citrus out of and oranginess out of Simcoe. So the Colonel's Simcoe version, in all honesty, was probably tasted better than mine, but I don't think there was a massive amount in it. So I mean, I'll take some credit from that. Their hops were a lot more forward in aroma and in taste, even though theirs was significantly older than mine. So I don't know if maybe their hot, the amount of hops that they were putting in was significantly more. But anyway, it's a reasonable tasting beer. It's aging. I've bottled some. It's aging in the bottle now. We'll see what the judges think. And the second beer that I have going into the competition is a Märzen. So again, this was a big experiment for me in terms of I brewed a Märzen, traditional Märzen on the 1st of March, and I've had it lagering over the summer. So only just cracked into it a couple of weeks ago. And I actually have some which I can get on to have a little bit of a taste for you now. Get some so you can actually see the appearance. I've butchered that. I've got a massive head on that, so you can see through the backlighting there that it is reasonably clear. You would expect a beer that's been sort of conditioning for 170 plus days that it would be clear. I'm actually surprised that it's not more clear. Butchering the lighting here, but there is a little bit of cloudiness still to it. So in terms of test, I mean, I think there's a bit of an off flavour on this. So I'm not holding out hopes of winning any medals on it. But so I think if you look at the BJCP guidelines for Märzen, it talks about traditional Märzens are a lot darker than the sort of more modern fest beers that you would maybe be seeing being served at Oktoberfest, which I think maybe kicked off at the weekend or kicks off very, very soon. So yeah, it's a lot darker. It's almost like a Vienna lager in appearance. But if you look at the BJCP guidelines, it talks about a sort of malt forward beer with a bit of sweetness on the nose, but then on the taste, that sweetness should dissipate towards a dry lager like finish. And for whatever reason, I seem to have maintained the caramel sweetness on the back end or on the taste. So and I could probably do with some more carbonation on it, but it's too late for that now because it's already in the bottle and away. But yeah, so it's a reasonable beer on its own. It tastes nice, but I mean, as I said, I'm not holding out any hopes for it. It's certainly not the banger of a beer that would maybe persuade me to do this as a project every year, or maybe it should persuade me. Maybe it should persuade me to try and do a better one for next year. So yeah, so that's the competition is coming up. I think at the end of towards the end of October, so or middle of October. So we'll see where we place in terms of scores for that. And then finally, I think the only other thing that's upcoming, so the Scottish Craft Brewers, which is my local homebrew group, we host the Scottish National Homebrew Competition. So that competition has opened for entries now. So the competition itself doesn't take place until the end of January. So if you do, I'll say it again about entering competitions. It's one of the best ways and most quickest and efficient ways for you to get some really good feedback and improve your beers. So if you've never entered into a competition, I urge you to try and enter as many competitions as you can. There are still entries available for the Scottish National Homebrew Competition. So if you're swithering about it, then I'd say do it and get it in. I'm biased, but I think it's one of the best run competitions in the UK. We certainly pride ourselves in trying to get feedback out as quickly as possible after the results are up. So that's coming up. So get your thinking caps on and get your beers in. So yeah, I think I'll call it a day there. So again, as I said, I have the barrel aging, the smallest ever barrel aging project underway. So that might be good content for my next video. But yeah, so it's been good to see you all again, and cheers to everybody, and we will catch up in the next one. Thanks very much.